And welcome back to CBS Presents Sport Magazine on radio. I'm John Daly. There's so much going on in sports, so I wanted to bring in someone who has a wide perspective. Kevin Iole is a combat columnist for Yahoo Sports. He's also an institution in Las Vegas, so he can talk about the NHL and even some of the NBA. Kevin, great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate you. How you been?
Fabulous. Very, very good, despite the times. Let's talk about what's been happening in the NBA. Players boycotted games in response to the violence and police shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And now you and I are recording this on Thursday. Players boycotted on Wednesday and Thursday, but it looks like they will play this weekend. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I assume that they're going to play. I just think that they want to make a statement, and I think certainly the fact that the convention is going on, they understand that a lot of people are paying attention to those kind of things, and they want to take advantage. So I think that everybody's going to play, and it's going to turn out fine. But I mean, you commend the players for taking a political stance. I mean, it's not easy, and they're in a difficult situation. You're away from your families and all your friends. Kind of hold up in hotels for a couple of months, and now you're going to delay it and make it even longer. So they really believe in what they're doing.
A lot of people said it might have been that money was talking here, that the owners could have literally cut them out if they decided not to play anymore.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think that, these guys are multimillionaires, and I think that they really believe in what they're doing, John, and they, you've seen the WNBA players wearing the political statements. And I think that, what the events that have happened in this country have really hit these people so much that I think it's had a stirring effect, and there's a lot of leaders of the group, and certainly LeBron James is one of them. And I think that when those kind of players take a stance, I don't think that they're worrying about money or endorsements or anything else. They want to change the world, and I think that's really what they're trying to do in this. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them, you have to love the idea that they're standing up for what they believe in and doing something that is important to them.
Yep, I agree with you. I have a commentary at the end of the show here that kind of echoes what you're saying. We're talking to Kevin Iole of Yahoo Sports. He's a legend in Vegas as far as sports reporting and covering the fight scene. Kevin, let's talk about COVID and the fight scene in Vegas. It's still going on. It's actually been successful as far as stopping the virus spread. Tell us what you have to go through just to cover those events.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so you have to give credit to the UFC. They were the first ones to start this. Before any of the other sports went out, the UFC figured a way that they could get it done. And basically, they bought thousands of tests, and then they contracted with a company to get the results quickly. So, everybody, on a weekly basis, the UFC is now holding shows in Las Vegas. So here's what would happen. If you want to cover the show on Saturday, you have to show up Saturday morning between 6:30 and 7. You go in, the UFC has taken over this entire hotel. So you go into the lobby of the hotel, and they take your temperature immediately. If your temperature is within normal range, then you go and you get COVID tested. As soon as you get COVID tested, they put wristbands on you to prove that you've been tested. You go over and you end up getting your key to your room. And now you stay in your room until the test result comes back. And that generally takes about 7 hours. So you're in the room until about 2 o'clock. Head over to the venue, which is fairly close to where the hotel is. And then the fights will generally start between 3 and 4. You're there the rest of the day. So it's a really long day, and it's really involved. And it's even worse if you want to go to the press conference or the weigh-ins, because then you have to have additional tests and do those on those days. So, but they're being very cautious, and they're keeping everybody as segregated as possible. So I was really concerned about it, John, when I first went there. Hey, I'm 60 years old. Is this, I'm at risk? But, I see they do such a good job of keeping everybody safe, and you're segregated from so many people until everybody's passed their test, and then you can get together. But even then, we're doing social distancing and everything. So it's really rough. And for the fighters, there's even a few more steps. So it's remarkable what they've been doing.
We are talking to Kevin Iole of Yahoo Sports. He's a legend in Las Vegas as far as sports reporting and covering the fight scene. I want to talk about boxing, but when you're in the hotel room for 7 hours, what do you do?
Well, I try to bring some work, so like the stories that I'm working on for the next week, I try to, work on those. Like I did a story that appeared on Monday of this week on Yahoo Sports, and it was about the UFC's TV ratings and sort of how their TV ratings have been dominant in the time that they've been back during the pandemic. And as I've done that, I try to spend my time, productively. Of course, sometimes you sleep, right? There's no food, so if you want to eat anything or drink anything, you have to bring it with you and have it in the room. And that's, so pretty much, your options are sleep, mess around and goof around on the internet, watch television, or work. And that's, not much really to do. You can't go out of your room at all. And even once you get in the venue, like I get access, only a few reporters get access to cage side. So I'm actually right next to the octagon when I'm covering the fights. There's only 3 of us that get that privilege. The rest of the reporters who are covering are put in a tent in the back. And if I would happen to walk outside, say just to get fresh air, boom, you're relegated to the tent. You're not allowed to leave the building whatsoever because they're being very, very cautious. And that's, kind of what they do to try to make it work correctly.
Wow. Here on TBS, we have the TBS Boxing Network. We got bouts with Ali, Frazier, Liston, and Foreman. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the way I always remember boxing. And, you could name who the heavyweight champ is. But I don't know about that today. Is boxing dying?
I don't think boxing is done, but I think, in one way we're in a golden age of boxing because there's so many good young fighters out there. But in another way, we're in a terrible age of boxing because it's very difficult to, like you say, if you are not a hardcore, intense fan, who is the heavyweight champion? Who is the welterweight champion? You don't know. And there's 17 weight classes and the potential for 4 champions and sometimes even more per weight class. So, you have 60, 70, 80 fighters that, can call themselves a world champion at any given time. And, that is something that happened. It started to happen in the 80s. For television purposes. The TV networks were saying, we want to have championship fights, as opposed to just having, 2 guys who would make a good fight and it would be a good fight. Instead of just being satisfied with these 2 guys are going to fight and it's going to be a good fight, the TV networks wanted championship fights, so the promoters created championships, and it just kind of, went on from there. And it created this whole situation where people can't follow what's happening. And that's what the really unfortunate part is now, John, because there are so many good young fighters in the world and so many good fights to be made. But all this craziness, makes casual fans turn away from it.
Wow. Interesting perspective. Okay. We got about 2 minutes left here, Kevin. I want to hit you on a couple of things about Vegas. Could Vegas be hurting for a while? I mean, the Golden Knights, they're playing up in a bubble in Canada. The Raiders might not be playing without fans. What's the feeling out there? What are you thinking? Is Vegas going to really struggle?
Yeah, we are struggling. I was in a casino the other day, and it's the first time I've been in a casino in months. And I was meeting a friend for coffee, and he was in from out of town. And I was at the Encore. It was empty, dead empty. There was hardly anybody there. And that has been, what everybody's reporting that I think the occupancy during the week is at about 30%, and on the weekends it's maybe up to about 50%. But it's not what it was before the pandemic. And you lived here, and this is a casino town, and everything goes through the casino industry. And when the casinos are struggling, which they are, Las Vegas is struggling. So it's tough, to see it. But, hopefully we'll get a cure, fix for this. And, life as we used to know will resume, and Las Vegas will come back.
Okay. Again, about a minute left. Do you think the Raiders will play, or do you think the NFL season might get pushed back?
I think the NFL is really going to do everything they can to play, and so far they've only had one player that's on their COVID reserve list who, is tested and can't play. So far they've done a good job. The Raiders have said they're going to have no fans this year. So if there is a season, we have a brand new $2 billion stadium here that is gorgeous. When people see it, it is absolutely phenomenal. And yet, there are going to be no fans for the first season, which that kind of hurts. But I think the Raiders will play, and Las Vegas will be the home to an NFL team officially in about a month or so.
All right. We've been talking to Kevin Iole of Yahoo Sports. He is a legend in sports writing in Las Vegas. Kevin, thank you so much for your time and insight. It's great to talk to you again.
You're my man, John. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too. Thank you. All right, folks, we're just getting started. TBS Sport Magazine is back. Great stories and all that a sport magazine should be. Go to TBS Sport Magazine. It will soon be back as a monthly publication, as it was for more than 5 decades. That's tbssportmagazine.com. Question, comment, or suggestion, drop us a line at tbstvnetwork@gmail.com. We'll be right back. We're going golfing in the Carolinas.